How's it going, lazy baristas? I'm Sixkilla and welcome back to Disco Elysium. It's time to finish this. It's time to finish this properly this time. We've got a lot to get to, a lot of things to interact with. I don't know where we're going, where the guy that we're trying to be finding is, but we're gonna get there. We're getting there. I don't think there's much to go now. Field insular console. Green paint flakes of the monoblock aluminum cabinet. There are rows of switches on the front panel, a frequency band, and even a keyboard. Run your fingers across the keyboard. The keys rattle like teeth. The keyboard hasn't been functional in decades. What is this then? The console of an antique computation device. The lieutenant points to the wires running into the machine. The generator upstairs with the wires coming out, they terminate here. What does the console do? He inspects the dials. Urgence, overt, alumer, radio, diffuse. Sounds like this device was used to control the electronics here. Maybe it still does. Turn emergency open. Nothing happens. Need to restore power before we use this, officer. The generator looks upstairs. Doesn't look like there was any fuel in it. Then he looks to the dim light to his right. We should look around outside. There are barrels all over. Maybe some of them still have something in it. Failing that, we go back to the mainland and get some. My Kanema? He shakes his head. I don't want to do that. Let's just look around. Alright. Let's go look for some fuel then. The hatch is jammed shut. Water rushes below. Far down below. Let's go. A firing slit. You can't see inside. Alright. Where's this fuel? Maybe we should go check the chains. Must have been a direct hit to take out that huge chug. The winch is broken. Russ has eaten what remains of the chain. The depot has supplied the chain and is long gone from the coast. Okay. The pain in your pelvis makes you wince, then you continue. The inside of the fortress, you make out the console and blast door. Oh, there's the fuel right there. An old medicine cabinet, newly stuck with dramamine. A weathered artillery map shows coordinates in the Bay of Revachol. There's a rain-soaked mattress on a concrete slab, only half covered by the crumbling roof. At the head of it, double embrasures, firing slits like two eyes in the wall. B triple prime. The lieutenant lowers his voice, stepping closer with his hand on his gun. This looks like a good place to shoot from. Inspect the wall. There's a firing slit in the wall in front of you, like a little window. Touch the concrete first. Quite old and grimy from years without cleaning by anything other than the rain. Look through the hole in the concrete. The spring screeches as you lean on the mattress and crane your neck to look out. A small piece of the Martinez coastline opens up in the square in front of you. Like a tiny landscape painting 1 kilometer across the water. The ruins look familiar. On the left, a towering skyscraper, its top floor shaved off by artillery fire. Capeside Apartments, Rue de St. Ghislaine, 33A and 33B. On the right, the red chimney and collapsed back of the 4-story tenement in front of the Whirling in Rags, Rue de St. Ghislaine 10, the Doom commercial area. And between the two, the box-shaped silhouette of the Whirling in Rags. You see a small fleck of light of white on the rooftop, the upstairs window of Classy's room in the snow reflecting light. Motherfucker. What does that mean? Do you have line of sight in the window? Yeah, there's an opening between 33A and 10. I can see the roof. I can see it, he nods. Through the scope of a rifle, the shooter would be prone, lying on the mattress, barrel resting on the embrasure. He pats you on the back. 3 small pats in a row. I think we have it. The origin of the shot. This is the sniper's rest. Better late than never. He nods. Nothing pointed here. Too many leads pointed elsewhere. You're right. He looks north over the fortification, then at the mattress. Could the shooter still be here? Where? He looks behind his back. On this island. He doesn't answer, just nods. With his back hunched, he looks around once more and says, he feels uncomfortable suddenly. We should move. Now. A single-person mattress, modern, civilian use, brand name, Marjorie. There's a fuel stain on the cover along with cigarette burns. And an empty can of beans on the ground next to it, filled to the brim with cigarette butts. Pick one out of the can. The silhouette of a tobacco picker adorns the paper filter. The brand Tautamriti. Contemporary Revacholians prefer Druin, a local blend from the southern island, or Astra, the legendary cigarette from Grad. Tautamriti is favoured by older men for its paper filter tips, sweet smell and added tar. Like the ones we found at Land's End, remember? I may have been wrong when I said it was unimportant. He stares into the can for a second. This means the same person could have visited both locations. I didn't see any sign of smoking inside though. If people live here, they keep it tidy. This here may be also be a smoking spot. Alright, we got fuel. Need to put that in the machine. Wait, can we go in here? No. Let's put the fuel into the generator. And then I don't know what that'll do. But I'm sure it will be hugely important. There's so many doors we can go out of still. Come on. Let's do this. Pour the fuel into the tank. The lieutenant assists you, holding the canister up to the fuel tank as you tilt. Dark brown, viscous fluid pours out and the room fills with a chemical smell. There's a red starter switch on the side of the cylinder and a starter rope on the other side. The lieutenant flicks the switch. Pull the rope. The recoil start wakes the old generator up. The machine sputters like an old warhorse before settling down to a rattle. That should do it. Now we're just going to find out what this machine does exactly. Push some buttons. Emergency open. The blast door opens with a series of clicks. A shaft of light appears, then widens as the light shines in. Alright, we've got a new door we can go through. What else does it do? Oh, it's a big door. That's a big old door. A sudden wave of anxiety makes your skin crawl. After you, the lieutenant gestures at the opening. What's there? I don't know. A thin wisp of smoke rises from a charred black fire pit. The wind picks it up and then dies down again. Okay, that's all we do with this thing, I guess. Let's go. Fingers crossed that we don't die. We got a bunch of skill points we could use. Sorry. If we think that'll help. I don't know. A rubber dinghy, it's deflated. Broken. This is it. An old man wearing tracksuit trousers leans on a framed stock of his rifle. He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth. Then spits it onto the extinguished fire before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eyelids, to meet yours. Unclouded by a cataract, his eyesight is sharp. You the fire guy?
What now? I can't hear you.
Did you recently tell two kids to put out their fire? Two twins?
I may have. All sorts of little rats have come sniffing around trying to give up the position. Fire guy, regressive bourgeoisie henchman, can't even talk like a grown-up.
You've retained your eyesight.
My eyesight, yes. Helps me see all this shit.
A shudder of disgust passes his left side. His right side remains motionless. Did you close the blast door?
I did. And you opened it. How?
I fueled the generator and then used the console.
I should have burned that console down.
How'd you know I was coming?
Reactionary rock and roll music, playing on the water.
Told you we shouldn't play sad FM.
It wasn't reactionary, it was cool.
The fascists were right about rock and roll. It is degenerate, hip, gyrating mental illness music.
Nice gun you got there.
It's not nice, it's a piece of shit. Gets the job done.
Is that a Bell Margarev?
It's a Trigon 446.
Southeast Samaran made, exotic. Must be defunct too. No modern rifle manufacturer that name springs to mind.
A Samaran rifle? How did you get hold of one?
It was sent to us by our brothers in the Xinyao commune. Military aid.
The Xinyao commune?
You heard me. It's It's good now, like chalk wiped from a board.
His gaze turns inwards. He's right, almost no one remembers there was a third beta stasis in the world of the World Revolution, and the Safray Empire extinguished in '06. It's not wiped from the board, I remember it.
They wouldn't like hearing their name coming from your mouth. A damn dog.
Sir, I need you to put down that gun so we can talk further. We're with the police. The lieutenant pulls his pistol from the holster.
You're a glorified night watchman. This is a service rifle. I can only lay it down before an enemy commander of corresponding rank.
Geez, we'll never get that. Okay, but can we keep the gun down while we talk?
No. Put it down now, sir.
Or you're going to blow my brains out before you question me. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway. It's out of bullets.
The old man lays the rifle down carelessly, then looks at it lying there, like an amputated limb in the sand. What have you been using this gun for? No reply, his leg twitches. He sounds like he hasn't gotten to speak to another human being in a long time. Especially about politics. That's what you should do first. Pick up the gun lying in the sand. His gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand. Frame stocked and patched in places with tape and wire. Inspect it closer. The rifle's in a shabby state, like a crutch that's seen too much travel. Hieroglyphs are embossed into the forearm made of walnut. On the butt you see Vespertine writing, burnt into the wood. Triangong 4.46mm made in Sinyao. And it's as he said, it's a Trigong made in Sinyao. No one said it had to be a Bell Margrave. The lieutenant does not take his eyes off the old man. We were just guessing. From ballistics it could have easily been a Trigong too. It doesn't matter if it was made in Shanta. All it has to do is use jacketed ammunition, and it does. Let's use jacketed ammunition, 4.46. The right type and the right caliber, the lieutenant nods, glancing at the gun. Stow the gun. The old man keeps following your motions with his gaze. His left arm twitches suddenly. This looked very much like the murder weapon. It can be used against him to get a confession. In time. Who are you? My name? He looks across the water then back at you. Is Iosif Lilianovich Dross, Political Commissioner of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Revachol. I'm a deserter, a partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my termless surrender. His eyes turn to the reeds again, dead and dull. Commune of Revachol? The lieutenant forgets to close his mouth. Do you mean the ICM? You're a holdover from the Insulindian Citizens Militia, the Army of the Revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in '07, trained in École de Contrôle Ariane, and consigned to emergency defense duties in '08. I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May the 14th, the Commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism of myself and resumed partisan duties. 51 minus 8 is 43. You've been on this island for 43 years? No, he looks into the fire. A wisp of smoke rises somewhere between the charred logs. I've been on other islands too. I was on Resurrection until they turned into a spar in 18. Then I was on E48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was, he thinks, 22 years ago. You said you deserted your unit. I was just 16 years old, 15 when I volunteered. I had a lapse of faith, he clears his throat, and of courage too. Lapse of faith? You could say I misunderstood the historic role of the proletariat, and I thought Mazovian socioeconomics were fallible. For a second, I doubted the irreducible laws of the historic materialism. A second is all it took. For what? For reaction to take hold. It wasn't reaction, you were just afraid. It's the same thing. You haven't seen it, not really, not naked. It's impossible not to be afraid. It remains unclear what it is. He makes leaps he doesn't expect you to follow. And this was when? The lieutenant instinctively looked in his notebook, but does not take it out. May the 13th, '08, 44 years ago. He looks north. The horizon was black with coalition airships. Their petroleum rose to the sky, and it looked like it formed the clouds. Storm magic. When they started shelling, it was dark magic. The combined might of the international capital all at once. All the greed and terror in the world tore into Revachol. It lifted streets from the ground and turned houses into ghosts. We were in the flak tower, he gestures toward it. Huddled on the floor, the artillery was 80 kilometers away in ozone, but I knew the commune would fall. We would all be turned into ash. So I said as I was going to the map room, he looks east. What then? I ran. I climbed the chain link across the water and hid inland, in the bunkers underground. Like the weakest of the weak, a mouse, frightened of the ordnance all night and the sound of rotors in the morning, whirring. He looks at the sky. What was that? Airships. I climbed out. He closed his eyes. Into hell. The landing was complete. The chain was submerged. I had to swim back. The fortress was half submerged too, shattered. They'd all drowned in the lower levels or got torn to shreds above. The anti-aircraft gun had malfunctioned. So had I. I left him without ideological direction. He opens his eyes and stares right through you. It was real. I'd seen it. I'd seen it in reality. Some kind of great terror worse than you've ever seen. Seen what? The mask of humanity fall from capital. It has to take it off to kill everyone. Everything you love. All the hopes and tenderness in the world. It has to take it off just for 1 second to do the deed. And then you see it as it strangles and beats your friends to death. The sweetest, most courageous people in the world. He's silent for a second. You see the fear and power in its eyes, and then you know. What? That the bourgeois are not human. I've always suspected the same. Now is not the time, Lieutenant Eufredo, the lieutenant says gently. I had to fight it. I couldn't stop anymore. The old man falls silent. His black eyes keep piercing your skin. As he looks at some great distance behind you, shaking his head slowly, retreating from it. You've been hiding here for 43 years. 43 years and 10 months. That's steadfast. That's not how a human being should live, but I had to. He grimaces clearly in pain. I couldn't just forget what I saw. What have you been doing during all this time? Hiding, fishing, waiting? He looks across the water. Where the people grow late on Rue de Saint Ghislaine, people walk home. Streetlights will soon be lit. Further inland, the streets were alive with workers, men, women, children, street hawks and migrant labourers. The temperature is steady. Altocumulus clouds form above Precinct 41. Always waiting, the old man turns his eyes from the shore and back to you. For what? For her to return. Her who? Girl-child revolution. I come from there. I can assure you that's not what the people are planning. I'm not a fool. He blinks his black eyes. I know the material base for an uprising has eroded. The working class has betrayed mankind. The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore, however hard I try, whatever I do. What is this place, this island? It's not an island, droid. He looks around. It's a defensive fortification for the commune of Revachol, and I'm its last surviving defender. That's fine. I have another serious question for you. There is nothing serious in this world. He looks at the gun in your hand. It's a farce. One more time, what have you been using this gun for? What have I used it for? He looks you dead in the eye. I've been using it for killing people. Here we go, a trail of blood. The lieutenant smells it too. Killing people? It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family and your property? I haven't done that. I use it to kill people. Interesting, the lieutenant nods. During or after the war? There is no after the war. He shakes his head and smiles. His teeth rotten black. Class war is never over. So he's continued killing after hostilities ended. Okay. Go in straight, no euphemisms. He doesn't like those. No, be careful now. Slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first. Don't mess this up. Remember, he wants to tell you. Get personal. I know you want to tell me. Have you killed anyone with that gun in the last week or two? I don't want to tell you anything, you grotesque murderer. And why do you think that was a good idea? Don't listen to me. I'm wrong all the time. So you're saying you've killed people after the fighting stopped? What did I just say? He keeps shaking his head erratically. Suddenly, he brushes something out of his eye. What did I just tell you? Don't drop the ball now. You Did you use that gun to shoot and kill a colonel of the security contract at Krenel? The who now? He leans in and cups his ear. He heard you. He just wants to hear you say it again. This is dramatic flair on his part. Right choice, we're in. Do it, sire. The corpse in ceramic armor hanging behind the Willingham rags. Did you shoot him? Oh yes, that one. He looks up to the sky and clacks his tongue. Ugly piece of work, that boy. Did you kill him? The lieutenant takes a sudden step forward toward him. I am a son of a welder and an officer of the commune of Revachol. He spits a big one at the lieutenant's feet. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime. Exhaust him with proof. Pile it on him. Get a confession. Something about tracks? Suddenly all those tracks are so confusing. Give us something else first. I don't need your cooperation. I got this. Show him the train gong 446. Heh. Not a lot of guns around that use military-grade ammunition, are there? It's a real gun. He points to the lieutenant's sidearm. Not like your musketeer pistols. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons, he chortles. Going against automatic rifles with these toy guns, of course you got those boys killed. Damn, he saw you. He watched it happen. He would have had a good view of the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting. We saved a lot of them, Elaine and the musician. We handled it. Like fuck you did. I watched it happen. You let those beasts rip into them. You got that girl killed like it was nothing. None of those people mean anything to you. The vultures feed on the city and you prepare the meal for them. You're getting diverted. Push the gun. Only the gun matters. So you watched the fight, the lieutenant points inland. Do you like what you saw? The mayhem? It was all your doing. Your plan. You got them killed. You don't know anything. A twitch runs across the left side of his face as he stares the lieutenant down. Stop changing the subject. We have the murder weapon. You know what? The lieutenant looks at the weapon demonstratively. You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it? I'm calling it. We have the murder weapon. Good. The lieutenant takes it out of his notebook and draws a single line. Feels good, doesn't it? Tying things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer. Murder. The old man does not say more. He just glances into the reeds, then twitches once more. We've done the ballistics. Pointed to the tower. The shot came from this island. I saw you poking around up there looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead faces. A jitter passes him. Do you like the view? You've had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete specifically meant for a top faller to use, and you had a long-range rifle in your possession. The lieutenant softens his voice. You've been here a long time, Mr. Dross. Too long. You need medical aid, and I'm ready to die. The man interrupts him and then coughs. I've done my part. He's practically admitting to it. Dead faces, for fascist, done his part. Just one thing remains unclear. The rifle does not seem to have a scope. Where's the scope? How'd you make a shot without a scope? We have everything else. Forget about your stupid fucking scope. I know where it is. Find it yourself. It's your problem now. He lost it. He doesn't know where it is. Forget it. Push on. You're admitting you killed him. You're sad for your fascia brother, aren't you? One twig got broken and now the others are sad. He waves his hand. There's a twitch. One more in his right eye. Oh, what am I forgetting? Okay, let's back up for a minute. Tell him this. One more time, Mr. Dross. The Colonel. We need you to talk about you killing him. Pretty bourgeois law. He snorts and spits. That's all you care about, right? Anything in the world for you types. A drip of blood in the saliva. Tear into him again. Pile it on. What am I forgetting? Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust and the secret space behind Classy's bedroom. Now they're gonna come out. Of course. Thank you, Head. Thank you. You got it. Remember the boot prints were like no modern soul. Maybe don't beat yourself up anymore though. You're not immortal. I wonder what brand of boots you're wearing. Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are, censor? He looks at his running shoes covered in mud. Some shit. Show me the soles please, Mr. Dross. Fucking imbecile. The old man stretches out his leg. A black and white spiral pattern covers the sole of the worn out running shoe on his feet. The maker is called Sans Serif. You see the V-shaped logo, but you can't make out the size. Those are not the unusual horizontal patterns soles you saw in the dust on the floor in the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size. The size fits, but not the sole. The lieutenant comes to the same conclusion. He doesn't have to be wearing them right now. People change shoes. Doesn't mean you weren't there near the room the victim died in, sneaking around. Racking those brains, are you? He squints at you, black pills gleaming with hatred, desperate to report something back to your masters. They must have really loved that dead fuck. The lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. You can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire, silent suddenly. Some strange process within him, a gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance. He suddenly jerks to life. You know who he was? A coalition-trained murderer. Armoured and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer, dripping with blood. He was a soldier too. He was a man. Beating us to the ground, moaning with joy, he breathes in with strange animation. You hounds get so thorough when your company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on the coast for 40 years, you know? Maybe I should have killed one sooner. Got your attention. He looks you dead in the eyes, pupils shaking. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds, he breathes through his flared nostrils. This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him. So you shot him. Oh, the inhumanity. He closes his black eyes. One paramilitary less in Revachol. You can almost see him squeeze a tear out of his eye. His fists begin to tremble from the anger. The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you. Just nod. I had them in my sights, both of them, him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase, and I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth. He begins to smile. I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death and that stupid look on his face. The smile quivers and his dick still in her. Then what? Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were May bells everywhere. The world was white, or what was left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own, and so they did. The lieutenant just looks at him for 1, maybe 2 seconds, then breaks the silence. Mr. Dross, you're aware of you're confessing to murder? Yes. A single word is all he gives. The lieutenant takes out his notebook slowly, very slowly. And you were looking at them, the victim and the young woman having sex, through the scope of your rifle that night before you shot him. The old man nods. Why? Because that's what they were doing, he shrugs, then smacks his lips. The motive. This is where the motive's going to come from. I don't understand. He turns to you. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part. Why were you looking at them that night? I'm always looking. He cocks his head to the side and turns his eyes to the city. Another tremor passes his left side, lower in intensity. Are you always looking? Through the scope of the rifle, he explains. I'm just trying to understand. A rifle's scope has the best magnification. Helps him see all the shit. And if you don't like it, if it's part of the shit you see, then you pull the trigger? Yes. He looks the lieutenant in the eye. Think of it as a form of critique. You got him going. Connect every piece now. Wrap this up like a gift. What specifically did you not like about what you saw the night of the murder? Them fucking. He looks at the charred wood. I didn't like that. So you were jealous. Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself, drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die, so he could not enjoy life anymore. And I wanted her to see his head explode. He nods. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for 1 more second, writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head, he squints. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out over her, but he shrugs. You can't have everything. Did you have feelings for that woman? There, he sighs. There's nothing to hold on to, only this. It's not enough. The coals in his eyes glisten suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying? Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. He looks at the city. It's weakness, I know. There have been others? Yes, over the years. It's not unproletarian to feel something. One more thing about this woman. Woman, he smiles suddenly. How long have you been watching her? Since she came to Martinez. I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Feld building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have her skimpy outfit on then, just a spot. in the night, moving. Past the Fell building on the coast. What was she doing there? Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me. But I could see her, smoking. She was nervous, but not scared. And beautiful. And beautiful. That too, he nods. How could you see what she looked like? You said it was dark. The sun came up, her hair was like cobwebs. She smoked more fags and snorted a line of whatever shit she was on. Right there. He shakes his head. She needed it just to move. What do you think she hid there? Her passport and tickets to villas, he coughed. And from there to cash her brim. In the free state of Semenine, hidden away at the edge of the earth near the Pale. This is the hidden buoy she told us about. You looked into it. He nods, after she was gone. Did you keep what was in it? When we found the submersible, it was empty. No, why would I do that? I didn't need tickets to villas. I put them back. If I wanted to extort someone, I'd do better. That implies that he thought about extorting her. Are you sure we checked the submersible and there was nothing there? He looks in the reeds, confused. Why would I need that trash? I'm not going to Villiers. Move on. Did you continue watching her after this? I did. He almost smiles. She had a face like an archipelago, with those birthmarks, and a body hard and lean and bruised all over, black and yellow. I can see she's taken a beating. I can see who she was too, he nods. A spook on the run. Revishal's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here, to do drugs and have sex like animals. You could tell she was a spook from the documents. She had different coloured hair on the photo, and glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair. I've heard about this kind of thing on the radio. Setting it up for you. The bruises. You can't make them out in that scope. And you can see her bruises through the scope of a rifle. You can't see bruises in a scope, it's just a blur. He shakes his silver greyed hair. Let's try it. 58. Nope. He must have climbed onto the roof, maybe? You climbed, right? You climbed behind the window like the crab man. What are you talking about, crab man? He waves you off with a cough. You've been through the secret route behind the Welling and Rags. The lieutenant steps in. Those are your footprints. You just changed your shoes. I've been through all of Martinez, every nook and cranny. Thank God the lieutenant is picking it up. But that nook too? The lieutenant does not let you finish. Yes, that too. He shakes his head almost in awe. The things they did in that little room. What she'd do to feel good, he explains. Funny the way light works. You turn it on the inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in my 20s, when they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but he keeps shaking his head. Those two took the cake. You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen, a quick glance at you. At them, then at the man. How'd you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop. I can just walk in the hostel now, after a good wash. They all think I'm an antisocial, a vagrant. Closing hours a good time. The kitchen's empty then. You had to open the steel door in the kitchen. How? I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago? He left spare keys all over and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on. One night in my scope. He points toward the Welling and Rags. So in conclusion it wasn't about him, it was about her. Her, he repeats, staring at the ashes, then the reeds. There's a twitch in the corner of his eye. The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement. The old man looks at you, suddenly remembering something. Where is she? I haven't seen her for days. She got away, but she led us here first. No, that's not right. She got away, we don't know where she is. Good for her. He looks into the city and nods. The girl kept staring into the scope, you know. In the end, this last week, kept staring at the island. At night, crying or smoking on the roof, like she knew I was here. She says to no one in particular, it doesn't matter. Midtown, across the Bay of Revachol, the oceanic winds washes 40-story towers. Above them, Lao San Central Aerodrome, a cocoon suspended in the sky by a web of suspension wire, encircled by hybrid aircraft. Look north. On the platform, a young woman is withdrawing from amphetamines, barbiturates and alcohol, yet she still smiles among the crowd, among the great ghost of the city she's leaving, for another, far south. Smaller, distant, hidden. Not like the great chandelier she sees sparkle in the spring air below her. Streets and towers, tenements and water, and across it, a dark strip of ruins barely visible, if she didn't squint her eyes. He knew she knows. She was looking at the island, figuring it out day by day, cigarette by cigarette. We could get more, the lieutenant uses the opportunity to tell you, in a lowered voice. We've got him talking. Who knows what he's seen and done over the years? Enough, take him in. Bend his arms behind his back and end this. Anything else you haven't liked? A tragic comedy. He shakes to life druggies, prostitutes, and rentiers. More specifically? Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house, stripped clean and draped in neon, but Martinez... He shakes his head in grave disgust. Martinez is the worst. How come? Because of the racists. Everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favourite thing to do in the whole world. Listen to race-themed radio shows, in the ruins, in their lorries, he points inland. Pumped full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that social democratic union, and that farce of a social democrat who runs it. Mr. Clare? Yes, the fly larvae in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Felipe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square to spit on the working class. Any more? Not since the serfs of ancient Peloponnesus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins. In tents, like animals. He points to the church, like those boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs. He keeps shaking his head with sorrow for the sight he missed. That all? The worst of them is the blood-drenched Salcreant on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So actually, no. The worst is that old cock parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing our graves. The old loyalist guilds still parade the ruins too. Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozone, or Cryoant Moraine, or some other island they've built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children. Say nothing. That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children. Throughout history, even royal bloodlines of suzerain. It's all an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least the old cunt Frissel is now dead. Just nod. We did good when we pushed him under that horse car. If only in the 30s, those disco whores. What follows is ominous mumbling. He cannot make out a single word. The disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain, language centre, leaving only a nonsensical sputter. There was something about a statue and nihilistic advertising agency. Might be worth investigating. Disco whores? Whores is all he says. Even that word has been pushed through his teeth with great force. The rage seethes too hard. Was there something about the statue on the roundabout and syphilis? Syphilis is a disease Felipe II contracted in a whorehouse. He fires quickly. The statue is an abomination. The bacteria entered his brain and made him squander trillions on sparkling wine, cocainium, and monuments of himself. His son Philippe III, the insane, contracted syphilis in the womb. He breathes in with a wheeze of hatred. It is technically possible, although Philippe III was not actually syphilitic, he was just mad. And he still went on to govern Revachol for 25 years. We lost 2 million lives toppling that mode of government, and those grotesque statues. Too, hundreds of them. But it's still there. What a keen remark, he sputters. Yes it is, isn't it? It's still there. Do you know why? Because cynical advertising yuppies erected a deconstructed version of it? That's right. Some advertising cockroaches erected a cynical deconstruction of it. We tore it down with honest working class plastic explosives, and there it is again. He shakes his head in disgust. Art is bourgeois establishment. It's an affront to humanity. Every gallery should be bulldozed and the artist should be given 30 years of hard labour in Yekokata. You mentioned the Union as social democratic and Mr. Clare a farce of social democrat. Another hideous disappointment, he pokes at the ash. Unions are the real enemy, the true enemy of the proletariat, placating the masses. Disappointment, so personal. He displays of the familiarity with the Union's top brass. Who's the disappointment? Everett Clare? That deformed toad, I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean the brains of the operation, the smart one. Doesn't Everett run the union? That mobster toad couldn't run a shithouse. He has no political education. His twin, Edgar Clare, that's the one. That one's been to one of those East Revachol universities. He talks a big game about uprising and alienation and so on. You've talked to Edgar. First against the wall with him. He stopped poking with the ash now, just shakes his head. And Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens at Martinez without them knowing. Of course, maybe the Clares asked him to. Mr. Dross, did you kill the criminal mercenary for the Clares to incite a riot? You know why I killed that fucker droid? He shakes his head. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again. Again? What have you done for Edgar before? Tried teaching him some Mazovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways, he coughs. That's a euphemism. There's more here, but you may not have the information to pry it loose from him. Oh, okay. Hang on, let's see what else we can get here. So you've talked to Edgar. Have you approached them? I haven't approached anyone. I've hid. It was Edgar who came to me. How did he know you were here? He just stumbled in like an oaf. He nods to you. He figured it out. Some kids told him about a monster on the island. I told you, he has brains. He points to the path leading to the tower. Stepped right off the boat and walked down where you came. I even kept the door open for him. Thought he was a man of the left. Wouldn't rat me out. He shrugs. I was right about one of those things. When was this? 20 years ago? Neither of them could walk now, could they? They were less fat then. What'd you talk about? Edgar did the talking, paid his respects like I were a fossil in a uniform, offered platitudes about the struggle, flaunted his pink degree, even quoted Mazov. Never trusted a social democrat who quotes Mazov, he suddenly remembers. Oh, and charity too. They love their charity, offered me blankets and social housing. I still have the gas cooker he brought. And he let you be here. Let me be here, he looks around. The SAR is an unlawful successor of the Commune of Revachol. We took this fortification from the Loyalists. Even the Clares understand this. They let him be here. Understanding was a courtesy. But why such a courtesy? And we can't get anything out of that one. By the cock parading in his colourful uniform, you mean Rene. Every fucking morning for 34 years, he grinds his teeth in rage, throwing that ball, one ball against the other. I've always loathed that game. This is not a working class game. I don't care what they say on Radio June. Royalist ghouls play it like it was life itself. Clack, click, clack. He makes the sound of balls connecting across the water each day. And that uniform like a parrot's plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A petanque maniac race traitor. Just nod, let him go on. I remember him. He points to his black eye. I remember him from Lenos. Not him personally. His make and model. There were tens of thousands of them. I thought we took them all out before the Liberals came to their rescue. We missed one. With his shaky finger he points to the city towards the crater near the plaza where the lonely pine tree stands. That one. Fat and plump like a pheasant, just begging to be popped off. A grin stretches across his face and he whispers, "Please, Mr. Dross, shoot me." He whispers with such a predatory hunger it borders on longing. You'd like to kill him? His smile lingers. Not yet. I like to look at him strut around, place the crosshair on his medals, right on his face, and just fiddle the trigger. Think about it. Let the bonbon melt in my mouth. Save the treat for later, the lieutenant asks cheerfully. Here's a juicy bonbon, that one, a real treat. For the black day, the blackest. When I put that gun in my own mouth, I think, no, don't waste it. Put this lead in that cock Rene for the boys he killed. And then I look at him, throw those balls, and I suddenly feel, he lets out a wistful sigh. Better. I even hid one bullet, so I'd always have one for him. The lines on his face straighten as he looks inland. Haven't seen him around lately. Strutting around. Must be down with arthritis. I hope it hurts like hell. I hope he sweats blood. Rene's dead. He died of old age a couple of days ago. No. Yes. The old communist looks at you, his blackberry eyes shaking. In disbelief. I waited too long. I waited too long and now he's dead. Sorry, Mr. Dross, the lieutenant says softly. I understand you knew him for a long time. They're all dead now. He just shakes his head. Fuck it. If he really wanted to kill him so bad, he would have done. There must have been 1,000 black days on these islands, his health ailing. He had 1,000 chances to kill him, and I blew them all. What does it matter now? He's gone. Ancient dust. You cared about him. A little flash of anger. All human beings care about each other. I cared for seeing head explode. And now, god damn this world. Are you okay, Mr. Tross? To go on? You think I haven't seen people die? That's all I've seen them do. Fuck and die. All the other planes we had to love, to colonize the Pale, it's all fucked. Sorry, too much reading now. I'm glad we talked about this now. Glad we talked about what? Another erratic gesture. He's trembling. That's it for now. Stay put. I ain't going anywhere. We need to find this, we need to go find the scope before we arrest him. We gotta make sure it sticks, man. You know? Where is the scope? Where do you think he would have hidden it? I mean, he's already admitted to it. Let's just take him in, I guess. It's a shame we couldn't get information. Maybe Edgar did make him do it. Is there any more here? Apparently there's more here, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know. You're under arrest for the murder of Colonel Colonel here in Martinez. What? The old man's eyes fill with sudden, unexpected terror at the words. But you said I'd be taken to the... The wind picks up. The silence on the water is broken all around you. Little shivers of waves appear. The lieutenant continues like an incantation. Your wayfarer rights have been suspended. The information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You will be given legal counsel within 1 week. You must face court in 44 days. Do you understand? Do you understand? But, do you understand, sir? No, I don't want to. I have to stay here. He looks at the reeds, eyes submerged in growing terror. He's sweating. Beads are forming on his forehead. Pupils are dilated too. Eyes getting blacker and blacker. Your confirmation is not required, sir. The lieutenant turns to you. Now, on the boat. Jesus. You thought you heard something, but it's just the reeds. Maybe we could all fit in there, the lieutenant says. Does it have room for 3? Not really, he shakes his head. We could escort him to the pier, then either one of us could take him inland while the other stays here, but then who watches him while you come back here? This is not a problem. This is a problem, the lieutenant says. Who watches over him while I come back for you? What is this farce? He's looking around with strange desperation. This is a fucking farce. I can't... Lillian, you could ask her. We could all fit in the boat. Actually, no, he scratches his head. Alright, we'll ask Netpicker. This is no harmless old man, the lieutenant shakes his head. This fucking world, he stares at something. Who knows what, in the dust, this world, what is this? No, listen. Listen now. You can come back for me once you've taken... You can come back for me once you've taken him to the precinct. No, it would take a whole day on this island. You go and transport the prisoner, I'll be here. I can escort him to the pier with you. Alright, maybe you're right. This world, the old man repeats. What are you talking about? Is this... His voice drowns out in a sudden gush of wind. Us? The wind is cold, from the east. Your skin is crawling suddenly. Now what? It's the cryptid! Holy crapola, it's the cryptid! It's the stick insect. Insulindian phasmid. A delicate tangle of arms and legs unfold from the reeds, limb by limb, to then just stand there, moving its scythe-like arms in ghostly silence. Blink. It's still there. an unfolding mechanism of reed-like chitin hovering in place. What is that? The old man looks at the reeds and then at you. What are you talking about? The giant stick insect. He looks confused. There's nothing there. The stick insect is over 3 meters tall. It looks straight at you with its tiny pinprick eyes and its grotesquely small head. You feel your legs shaking under you, and your gun hand move to your holster, but you don't have a gun. There is, I see it. Tell me what you see, damn it. I can't make out one small thing in the reeds. Kim, can you see it? I can see it. 4 simple words. Thank God, if he can see it, then you're not insane. But that means it's really there. Spinning slowly in absolute silence, its limbs long and slender. Be very, very careful, the lieutenant whispers, and takes a step toward the giant arthropod. Don't get killed by this thing, okay? The creature stands on its long stilt-like legs, antennae hanging from its head like a woman's hair, white and curled at the tips. It's no more than 5 steps away from you. Reed-like tufts stick out of its joints as the insect moves its forearms and produces a faint hiss, like a reel-to-reel machine spinning after the tape breaks. Oh, that's not good. This is the Insulindian phasmid. The lieutenant whispers behind you. You hear the familiar ring of his jacket unzipping slowly, painstakingly so. You glance over your shoulder. The man holds a piece of milled aluminium. He begins to pull it open extremely carefully. It's the camera. Are you sure you won't scare it off?
We need a photo. No one will believe us.
He continues to pull the lens open. From the corner of your eye, you see the sudden cascade of motion rippling through the phasmid's limbs. A series of ultrasonic clicks fills your ear. I am not palatable. Do not eat me. I am afraid. It's afraid. Stop now.
I won't be one of those fools who didn't take a picture.
He has stopped fiddling with the camera, but he doesn't put it down. You see the phasmid turning to him, its mandible antennae reaching out. The motions are quick and sudden. Who cares what they think, Kim?
Understood. Of course.
He says with a nod. The spindly mechanism turns itself back at you, its antennae taking the measure of air slowly. Say something to it, quietly, something like, "Don't be afraid." Nothing changes in the cyclical, praying motion of the creature's limbs. They are porcelain white on the inside, and reed-coloured on the out, beige, light brown and striped. You're unsure if it's scared or not. Its insect mind is impenetrable to your reasoning. This is a red track. I assume this will kill me if I fuck it up. 3%, it will fuck up. Retreat slowly.
Just leave it standing there. We have to do something, detective. It could be connected somehow even.
This is bad, man. Well, it didn't murder us at least, that's cool. You barely get to take one step. The invertebrate reacts with uncanny speed, skating away across the water. It's gone like a skipping stone, leaving nothing but rings on the sea's calm mirror. Where? Where did it go? The lieutenant has the camera in one hand and a slip of white paper in the other, developing. How did it do that glide? It appears the insect can walk on water, like a water strider, you know? It's almost as fast as... He stops, short of breath. Uncanny. Where'd it go? Look north, can you see it? No, he shakes his head. It's gone for now, Lieutenant Ifreda. What now? What now? The old man behind you repeats suddenly. He puts his hand in the ash. It's dirty and black. Our suspect's not looking too good. We should check him over. Also, he points to the reeds. It looks like there's some kind of nest there. Maybe there's our proof in there. In the reeds where the phasmid was hiding, you see a little flash of white. Porcelain white. The Fairweather helmet. Holy crap. And the T932 rifle scope. And Classy's passport. Well, that's pretty huge.
What is it? What do you want from me? I can't go.
Sir, how could you not see the phasmid? See? He stares at the reeds and falls silent. Mr. Dross? The man doesn't respond. He keeps staring, black eyes glazed over and bulging from their sockets, his gap-toothed mouth shaking, like an addict of some terrible substance. Snap your fingers under his nose. A light shiver passes him, followed by nothing. His hands are trembling and he breathes slowly. He's going into some kind of psychomotor immobility. The lieutenant inspects him gently. The good news is, this solves our transportation problem, doesn't it, Mr. Dross? The trembling mouth appears to sigh. Between this and the broken tire he's used for a boat, I think it's safe to leave him here while we go and get help. It will need to be medical first, I'm afraid. What has happened to this man? Old age and shock. He looks at him and then you. I think it's the phasmid. Yes, the arrest and the appearance of the phasmid. The combined stress. He looks at you. But you think it's something more than that, don't you? He couldn't see it, Kim. It's just the reeds for him. It could be part of the shock, but you're right. Something is off here. Mr. Dross. He touches the man's shoulder. No response. Maybe this is how the phasmid has stayed hidden all these years. And how did we see it, he thinks. Oh, you mean whatever does this, does it over time? Teenagers, kids, drunks, sightings are brief, and hence not credible, but anyone who spends a long time with it, yeah, you forget it's there. Lieutenant inspects the man. Mr. Dross, have you ever seen a stick insect pretending to be the reeds? The old man stutters. The doctor will have to look at this. I hope your station has better medical personnel than 57. This is a little advanced for a nurse. It's been here for a long time. Who knows how much of it is in its company. He did seem distressed when it finally came to arresting him. Like he didn't want to leave this place. And the insect maybe... He looks at his notebook. I've absolutely forgotten to take notes. I hope I remember all this. He shakes his head. This will be one hell of a report. They'll think we're insane. You'll have to be very convincing and very sober to make them believe, sire. We found some things in the phasmid's nest, Mr. Dragos. Mr. Dross. He stares into the reeds. Your words didn't stir anything in him. Perhaps you should show him the ceramic helmet. Nothing, just dull staring. Not even rage left wherever he is. The last embers have gone out. The war is over. If Kuno kicked it into the sea, as he said he did, the ebb would pull it back here. Makes sense. Mr. Dross could have picked it up. Or the phasmid even. If it did, that's incredible. Show him the Urania passport. No reaction. His breathing is slow and it appears very old all of a sudden, around 80. Let's have a closer look at it. I think it'd be more useful than him. He nods towards the old man. Show him the detached scope. He turns his eyes to it. You lost it, Mr. Dross? He turns his eyes to the reeds again, as he's done so many times. Beige and white stripes. He lost the scope. Then it somehow made its way over here, with the help of the magpie phasmid. The lieutenant observes lens sparkle in your hand. At this sight is a T9, Mr. Dross. Was it attached to the rifle when you made the shot? Not even a sigh. I'm gonna let you rest now, Mr. Dross. The plastic cape flaps around his face in a gust of wind. His back is slouched and his mouth open. The strength has gone out of him. Just frail old bones and a sack of tracksuit trousers and a windbreaker. Hang tight. We should think about getting back to the mainland. To get help. He'll be safe here if we don't take too long. There's more to do still? My gosh. This is already an hour-long episode. Alright, let's get back to the mainland, I guess. That's it, we did it. We solved the case. Everybody's dead, but we solved the case. She's going to be happy to have her boat back, at least. Let's return. We're done here, he says, adjusting his glasses as he looks over the water. The skiff rocks gently under your weight as you get in. The ride back is uneventful and quiet. But for the sound of conversation on the water, there is someone inland waiting for you. You reach the jetty and climb out of the skiff. Now what? Oh shit, what's happening?
Look what the tide brought in.
Says the man without sunglasses. Suddenly his expression changes as he tilts his head.
Harry, you're bleeding all over the place. You're half dead.
Whatever this is, it's completely unimportant compared to what you've just seen. This is the man with sunglasses from the Whirling in Rags, but where are his sunglasses? Wait, you're the man with sunglasses?
That's right. And you're bleeding.
Who are you people?
Hello, I'm Trent Heidelstein. I believe we've met on several occasions.
You were the guy looking at the building.
I'm your goddamn partner, Jean-Vic Mar, and this is your special task force, or what's left of it. Special Consultant Trent Heidelstein, Patrol Officer Judith Minot.
Hi.
We have come to scrape what's left of you off the pavement.
Why were you guys so unhelpful then?
Lieutenant Kim Kisoragi, Precinct 57. We've just come from the island, where our investigation led us.
The scene is making him feel as though he has to justify your actions.
We might need your help with something later.
He adds, suddenly regaining his confidence.
But this is clearly a departmental matter, so I'm going to leave you to discuss it among yourselves.
No, Kim, you gotta have my back. Let's destroy them.
Good to meet you, Lieutenant Kitsuragi.
She says warmly, flashing to Kim the tiniest of smiles. What is this about?
Ari, we want to help you. Trant, I believe this is where you come in?
I don't quite know what I'm doing here. I was asked to participate as an expert. I think I need to manage your expectations a little. I'm at best an enthusiast in cognitive science. My background is in something else entirely. I engage in neurology on a merely theoretical level. In fact, I should probably get going.
No, Trent, it's too late. You're part of this shit now. What have you got to say for yourself, shit kid?
Shit kid, what an interesting moniker. What's a shit kid? You, shit kid, that's you. Despite all that you've done, the deserter, the phasmid, the case. Despite all I've done. No, because of all that you've done. You never told me you're not the horse-faced woman? You mentioned a task force? Yeah, Major Crimes Unit, under Lieutenant Dubois and Vicmere. Ring any bells? Refresh my memory, who else is in this? Refresh your memory, it's a goddamn Major Crimes Unit. There's you, me, Jude, Trant, fucking Heidelstrom, and Gulame Bevy. He stares at you. I'm technically just a civilian advisor. Fuck you, you're part of this shit show. Who's Gulame Bevy? Oh, he's an interesting story actually. He's not smiling. Guyame Bevy is a police reporter who joined our team. He was really good, then he left because he lost faith in your ability to lead the unit. Other people have left too, good smart people. People we won't get back. Only me and this really patient patrol officer is still here. And Trant, because I'm forcing him to stay. Is this Guyame Bevy blonde and partial to sunglasses? See there? He wags his finger at you. He's getting it. I was impersonating him. Look at me, I'm G. Bevy. It was going to be funny. But then he really did have brain damage, so not so much anymore. So what does this unit do? It's a Major Crimes Unit. We clear the desk of cases, so Precinct 41 doesn't look like the worst station in town. We're shit tier now, Harry, because of you. The 41st isn't... He trails off, not wishing to finish the sentence. How'd you know I was here? Cafeteria manager told... You fucked over, told us where you were. I saved his establishment and he still betrays me? Strange, you didn't mention that. In fact, the establishment didn't look too saved at all. There was a giant aero graffito in front of the building. It was on fire. Yeah, I lit it on fire. It was a poetic gesture. I knew it. Didn't I tell you, Trent? I told you it was our shit kid. The line is from Lu Jietu Mirova 82, isn't it? About girl child communism, the titular returning character. The ghostly apparition of... He looks around and, noticing the impatience of his companion, stops himself. Good choice, Harry. He is correct. It was the Surrey's poet Lu Jiatun, who in the 50s of the last century composed a... Don't encourage him, Trent. Okay. None of this is ringing any bells. Move on. The bells aren't ringing because you have brain damage, Trent. He turns to the blonde. This is where you come in. How bad is it? Well, he doesn't have visible tremors. He talks without slurring. He can drive a boat. He's standing, reasoning. All good signs. but completely retrograde amnesia, episodic and semantic, meaning you forgot both who you are and the definitions of money, isola, pale, and so on. And displayed in the station call, our interactions with him, and I don't want to be a snitch, he makes air quotes, but also mine with him before when Harry did not seem to know who I was. It's all very interesting. Interesting? Yes, interesting. I have my theories, but I'd like to hear Harry's thoughts first. Harry, he turns to you. What do you think happened to you neurologically, psychologically, and why not socioeconomically? What? Socioeconomically? You think I'm so poor I lost my memory? Not when you phrase it like that, but I don't think critical theory. I know everything thinks this is far-fetched, pink academia, but still, I don't think it should be off the table here. What? He lost his memory because of capitalism? No, not like that. I'm not talking for default school here, but Harry, I asked you, what do you think happened? I got really drunk? I drank so much I lost my memory and now I'm slowly recovering it? He is getting a lot better, and I can confirm he drank a lot of alcohol prior to it happening. I believe he drank, he turns to you. People do that, especially this one. What they don't do is forget their whole life because of drinking. But Detective Vicmare, she interjects, he has blanked out before. I have? Yeah, a couple of times. After some of the more serious benders. She pauses, remembering. One was after the 2 drunks case. The one where we looked into that mural? Those cases were hard on you. Interesting, so at first he dipped his toes into it, prepared. That's where he would have gotten the idea, yeah, practice. And he used the alcohol to get there, so to speak. What do you mean? Well, here's my theory. What if this is an absolutely normal reaction to the world we're living in? What if this is not a significant anomaly at all, something to be explained and approached as a defect? Look at the sensory input here. He gestures toward the scenery. Look at the ruins, the neon, listen to the radio, the multitudes, the people. Live here for 40 years as a police detective. He's like a magnetic reader on the world tape. To borrow a known metaphor, Harry's been pushed flat against it. Total input. Hardwired to the free market. He nods confidently. You just needed that for that to end. Okay, Trent, thank you. That's absolutely meaningless. I'm glad we brought you. Will he or will he not be able to return to work in the major crimes unit? Is he a cretin now? That's what I just want to know that. He is not a cretin. He is able to do work, if not in his previous leadership role, then as a line detective. What now? Now nothing. Now we're just going to stand here. Okay. Yeah, just stand here. That's cool. Really? No! Now we discussed that. He points to the water. What the fuck did you do to our motor carriage? Why is it there, Harry? Hold on. In the ocean? Yes, in the ocean. Under the sea. Our work vehicle? With fish and clams and other sea shit? The time had come, Tequila Sunset. He grabs his stomach in mirthless laughter. Tequila Sunset? No, sunrise. Because you're almost dead. So funny, Harry. Thank you for fucking me. Thank you for destroying 45,000 real of police property. That's coming out of my payslip, you know that, right? And you're gonna get fired. And I'm gonna pay until I die. It doesn't matter. He exhales to calm his breath. Your badge, Harry. Show me your badge. Got my badge right here. In a rush to demonstrate your badge, your eager fingers can't sustain a grip on the smooth plastic and the badge slips out of your hand. Oh god. You juggle the badge for a second, unsuccessfully, and it lands on the ground some 2 meters away. Ouch! You strained your elbow trying to catch that stupid thing, damn it. He found it. The patrol officer picks it up and gives it back to you. Slippery and cold. He found it, Gene. It's his badge. The man stares at you unimpressed. And your gun? I upgraded my gun to a rifle. Upgraded it. I don't care about your weapon mania, Harry. I only care about the official sidearm which you lost. This is a Trigong 446. It was used to kill the man from nearly a kilometer away. I don't care. Where is the gun the RCM gave you to kill people with? Where is that one? Yeah, I don't have that. I don't have my sidearm. I knew it. I told you you didn't have it. This isn't cause for celebration. It's bad. Oh, I would say it's very bad. He turns to you. You're drunk like a bum, Harry. Please put your stolen rifle away before you kill someone. I am not drunk. I haven't started drinking again. So you forgot to drink? I don't buy it. Why do you smell like a corpse then? He's wounded. He looks at you. It's been a long week. And he's handled an actual corpse. Yes, I've handled an actual corpse. I don't believe you. He squints. You're drunk. You let a suspect escape, a certain class here, because you were too drunk to assess her flight risk. We've read the reports, Harry. Lieutenant Kitsuragi. We know. She was some kind of spy from the Occident, specially trained. Oh well, if she was specially trained, he rubs his face in frustration. I'm not even gonna get into the other suspect who also escaped. Yeah, Ruby something? Or the fact that you very likely sold your gun for booze. That's peanuts. That's nothing. That's a humorous anecdote. Compared to the 9 people who were gunned down. The streets are literally red with blood, Harry. It was a fucking mass murder. He did everything he could, the lieutenant interrupts him. We did everything we could. The company hired unvetted mercenaries. Lieutenant Dubois got between them and the locals. He did so at considerable risk to his own life. He was shot not once but twice. We stopped an execution, not a negotiation. The loss of life was minimal compared to what it could have been. Yeah, it was a massacre. We got wiped. Where the hell were you? Don't make this harder for yourself, he says in a lower voice. Thank you for the input, Lieutenant Kitsuragi. I didn't mean to suggest you didn't handle the situation. He brushes a stray strand of hair out of his eye and coughs. You spent a week with him on this case. What's your take? On the case? On Lieutenant Ifreto Dubois. Well, he pulls up his collar. The drinking, the gun losing, and also the badge. It's all true. Although he has not been drinking on the job this week. See? 1 week. Then there's the superstardom. He likes to, from time to time, allude to being a superstar law official. I'd have never did that. At first I thought it was a joke, but now I'm not so sure. He says disco about 20 times a day. I do that. It's worrying, especially considering his political views. Detective Dubois, as you may know, is a Mazovian socioeconomist. Economist, sorry. He wants to liquidate the ruling class, which again, for a police officer, is a little odd. You should yell something. That's not a good idea. Yes, let's let the big boys talk. And then there's the motor carriage in the sea, and the constant smoking everywhere all the time. I had 1 cigarette. He breathes in sharply. But despite all of this, he's a great detective, one of the best I've seen in fact. Kim smoked more than I did this entire week. He can talk human beings into telling him everything, and he doesn't stop. In all the time I've spent with him, he has not once stopped pursuing leads, however far-fetched and tangential. He is tireless, madly driven. Well, except that one time when we stopped to sing karaoke, which, by the way, was a valiant effort. He really sang his heart out. Yeah, it was what it was. Other than that one time, he was tirelessly working on the case, and he solved it. We have a confession, a murder weapon, and the perpetrator locked on the island right now awaiting transportation. He apprehended a straggler who stayed hidden for 50 years, ever since the revolution, who's probably committed other murders over those years. He pauses. Oh, and he also discovered a new species. A new species? A colossal stick insect, 3 meters tall. It's on the island, camouflaged as the reeds. It unfolded from them. I did not unfortunately get a photo, but I believe it may have been the Insulindian phasmid. I know this sounds fantastic, but I'm 4 times decorated lieutenant of the RCM. I do not make up encounters with cryptids to spice up my day. I am very, very sane. I don't doubt you, Lieutenant. If you say it was the Insulindian phasmid, then it was the Insulindian phasmid. So as you can see, I'm a pretty okay detective. An absolute giant communist? What? It's incredible, but it was real. In case you no heed. Lieutenant, is it the found somehow is connected to the case? The killer did not seem to be aware of the phasmid's presence. Exhibiting a strange, atypical dementia, he fell into a stupor after its appearance. He became near catatonic. Yes, the phasmid may have contributed to his mental state in some way over the years. So it is connected. You could order a search. I could get the people from Epis on the island, entomologists, doctors. There must be signs of it in the reeds. If we found the Insulindian phasmid, well, that would be absolutely exceptional. The PR value alone. There, you need to make your case now. The floor is all yours. He prepared it well. Really? The killer. We have a strong motive for him. Lilianovich. The special consultant raises an eyebrow. A revolutionary matronym? Revolutionary matron? The custom stated in Grad, when they have patronyms, Kravicevich, Lasovich. The revolutionaries saw this as a chauvinist activism, that they used matronisms derived from the mother's name instead. The man's mother's was Lillian. He's Lillian's son, Lilianovich. The custom was overturned after the revolution failed, but not before it made it to Revachol. So it is a soldier, what a soldier of the ICM would be called. Thank you, Trent. Think of that piece of cultural history? Turns to you. You said you have a motive. Of course, excuse me, I thought it was noteworthy. He wasn't quite sure about the straggler before he heard this detail. It must have convinced him. You killed the mercenary in act of jealousy. Jealousy? I thought this Livionich was an old man. To be hiding for 50 years. 70-something. He nods. A strange psychosexual fascination. The result of spending time in the solitude, on the islands of this bay, and trauma too. He gave himself a political reason. In his mind, he had killed an enemy combatant. Also, we have ballistics from the gun matching the bullet found in the dead mercenary's head, and 2 officers on the scene that Mr. Dross confessed to. It's a clean win. Oh, it's way more than that. It's more than that. A perfect folding mechanism like the phasmid. Perfect folding mechanism, he rolls his eyes. Get over yourself, Harry, I can still smell the booze on the wind. God damn it. Doesn't it ever leave? It is there, like in your bones or something. I also started a nightclub in the church. What was that? He cups his ear, the wind blows. It sounds like he set up a nightclub in the church. Yeah, I discovered a hitherto unexplored phenomenon in there too, a 2mm hole in the world. That's great. Entrepreneur. It's a great new career for you. After police officer, I don't care. Go live in the Pale. 4 kids were living in a tent on the ice. They were going to drown when it melted. It was not optimal, but the building was abandoned, so you put them in there. It's okay. It's not that okay. Get off the subject now. Why? Also, the phasmid was female. The reeds are its nest. Female? What makes you think so? You had to see it. It had the subdued colours of a female and the nesting behaviour too, I think. Incredible. Were there eggs in the nest? Not as far as I could see. There were other things, though. He turned to you. It had mandibles that looked like hair and was completely white on the inside. Yes, but also reed-coloured beige and brown, a little green on the outside. After unfolding from a single stalk, it still retained parts that looked like reed tufts on its limbs. Incredible, he repeats, turning to Vic Mare. There's a toughie that you don't have a photo. This would have looked very, very flashy in the papers. None of it says vigilante murders to me at all. Great PR. I tried to, but only got a blur. We can still work cop discovers new species in there. I know a good guy in La Majeste, but only after the Ecole Supernatury people find it. This cannot be done by fringe people. There needs to be white coats and glassware on this fly. Any professionals? He looks in the reeds. In the mist-coloured distance over the water, nothing moves, not a trace of it. You're just still doing good here. Perhaps only for the moment, but still. There's also a dead man on the boardwalk. A missing person I found. Yeah, it's fallen through the gap in the boardwalk, drunk. How'd you know I found him? The body was transported to Precinct 41, our morgue. I had Tilbrook and Mullins take a look at the funeral arrangements and family stuff. You're not the only cop in the world, Harry. This all comes back to us. Still, she says quietly, good work with the missing person, detective. I also looked into the mystery of the Doom commercial area. He shrugs. I don't know what a Doom commercial area is. Rue de Saint Ghislaine, 10. A commercial building where all business goes bankrupt. I looked into it. Why, that's not what you were supposed to be here to do. There was a fridge we needed, and a possible witness. He was just chasing a lead that ended up advising a local shopkeeper. It was okay. Well, of course, she turns to Vic Mare. Call it a community outreach, right? So what do you say, want to take this hot shit back? I don't want to, but you've discovered a new species and solved a murder. He shrugs. So I have to. Jude? A quick nod. Anything that ends with the trial is okay with me. Agreed. Public relations potential of this is too valuable to let go. Okay, he says. We have vehicles in the square, and the perpetrator needs to be taken to custody. Let's go. Let's go. Wait, who am I? Who are you? You're a gym teacher, Harry. What? Well, obviously you're not a gym teacher anymore, but before you're a cop, you're a gym teacher. In Coron. She looks around. It's getting really cold outside. Maybe we should... It does explain a lot. Harry, it explains everything. The running around, the jumping, the bicep girth, your inexplicable facial hair, the collection of fawn sportswear I've amassed, your love for the retro-style dance music, how you're able to perform a 360-degree spin kick. Also this guy, just everything about this guy. Why'd I join the RCM then? The regular? You found some chick, she inspired you to fight the big fight. Be more than you are, all that. You every morning walking from Voyager Road to teach gym. She leaving for the academy with their spring coat on. The air filled with the smell of smoke and raspberries and incredible hope. An ocean full of hope. Okay. Why am I like this? It's not a mystery. Some chick fucked you over. Also, you're a drunk. You really went with it too. Really maximized the damage. Some chick who? Dora something? Dora England, he thinks. Yeah, you mentioned her name. Wait, Dora Ingerland? Something like that. Half Vassen. Vasa is where beautiful and impossibly blonde people come from. So we weren't even married. No one is married anymore. This is Revachel. When was this? God, I don't know. He thinks. 6 years ago? She was way before my time. 6 years? Yeah, or 7. You're not doing too good there. It's an old man thing. 2 old years equals 1 normal year. That and Dora England really tore you a new one. A big one. Who was she? Incredibly bangable? Figures. Extremely fuckable, Harry. Gorgeous. A gorgeous bourgeois woman. Waifish. Like a Walken, basically. Snow Walken. Blonde Welkin. Pain Welkin. I've only seen a picture, but it's obvious you formed a real spiritual connection with how pretty she was. One you never recuperated from. Look, she turns her face to sea. The sun's about to go down. It's time to go home. I think she taught in the Academy des Arts. East of the river. Way east. Hard to say which came first, the middle class chick or the drink. Egg and the chicken kind of thing. My point is, you need to see a psychiatrist about this shit, not a psychologist. Several degrees harder. Is there something harder than a psychiatrist? You pause to think, a forensic psychiatrist? Go to that. In other words, he's heard enough about this. Lieutenant Kitsuragi, what will you do now? Well, first I'll go back to my station and write the most detailed report anyone has ever seen. It will have to be good to cover all this. Then I'll have a serious talk with my captain. About what? Pulls up his collar and looks around. The cold spring light reflected at the lens of his glasses. Detective, we just stopped a small-scale war. Something is happening to Revachel. I don't know what yet, but it's going to be a hard spring for the RCM. We need to get ready. Infiltrate, investigate. Distant traffic. A scrap of newspaper drifts by carrying the winds. Want to do that at Station 41? Talk to Captain Price? I'd rather not ruffle the feathers of 2 captains with my doom-mongering. No, I mean investigate. Come work in Precinct 41. Work with Price. A crooked smile quivers on his lips. I'm flattered, but I don't know if this truly came as a surprise to him. Not a bad one, but he's at a loss. Flattered? You're Lieutenant Kitsuragi. We'd be flattered if you even considered. The man turns very serious all of a sudden. I'd have to tie things up in GRIH first, but I mean, whatever is coming, Jamrock would be more central to it than the harbour. And we also have a huge caseload, Lieutenant, she says with a smile. Piles that need to get back to. Mountains, even. Would you like the sound of that? He returns his smile. He's really considering it. I'm ready. Good, she looks at you. Then Vic Mayer. Fuck it, let's go. The man points down the street. Trent brought his motor carriage. It's a 20-minute drive to Jamrock. The great district hums in the snow, slowly falling snow. A chessboard of wooden houses, 80,000 living souls in chimney stacks. Fire traps as far as the eye can see, from Main Street to Precinct 41, to Boogie Street, forking into the white horizon. You close your eyes and hear the dogs bark. A lone woman sits by a factory window, dreaming of meteorite strikes. On Rue de Saint-Jerome, a square bullet slides into a square-shaped chamber. An old South man without eyelids smiles. Spring has come. It's time. Wonderful. The woman looks north. Then can we please go back to Jamrock now? And that's it. Geez, that was a long episode. I think I'll just leave it that long, but because that was all ending stuff, just going through the motions of what we've done. That was amazing. What a great game. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I'm going to let the credits run as usual. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.